Beyond. What would be you guys' favorite city for an open world game to do? I would love to see a GTA set in Houston. They could have missions where you drive a taco cart and infiltrate NASA. Maybe not those things in the same mission, or one where you go to the rodeo. There is so much to do with that city. What do y'all think? Thanks, Luke Merrill.
Okay, I am on this one.
I always love this when this comes up.
Yeah, this is. I've wanted this game. Nobody will ever make it because it would cost so much. But I want Toontown. I want a.
Oh my God!
I want an open world Toontown.
So on that note. Why do Toontown?
Shut it down.
Why do Toontown? I'd like to see an open world video game that is essentially what Toontown does, where you've got the different eras of cartoons coexisting. But imagine that with video game characters, where you've got like low poly PS1 renders in the same world as sprites, and like you've got Frogger.
Oh, so you want an open world Wreck-It Ralph?
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. I love that. I
Let's
mean,
have both of these. Let's have both of these.
If license-wise they made it happen for the movie, then I mean, maybe they could make something like that happen for the game. That would be awesome.
I love
but you want it to be M-rated.
Oh, that's so good.
Open world M-rated Wreck-It Ralph, basically, where you can just travel from game to game.
Yeah, but I almost want Mickey Mouse more. One, because that would have portable holes. And portable holes are great.
Okay.
They're wonderful. And Judge Doom, I'd have Christopher Lloyd in my world. But no, I want this to happen. I would love to be able to play in a universe where I can have Q*bert and Master Chief side by side doing something that would be nuts. It's kind of wonderful.
So here's the cheat code though. With Max's version, you would still get Mickey Mouse and
he'd be Mickey Mania,
Looney Tunes
no,
and stuff
but
like
that. You
but
get Epic Mickey.
Yeah, I'd get Epic Mickey. And that's the thing. Like, I really love cartoons, and there's so much. Cartoons have a wonderful, rich narrative lore that would work well for an open world game. Being able to visit those iconic locations and have them kind of tied together in neat ways that are part of cartoons, and the potential to have anvils dropped on you. But I mean, I want to go back to Tiny Toon Adventures, and I want to go, and I want to have Babs Bunny and Wacko Warner in my RPG party. Yeah. That just sounds great, but. That doesn't take anything from away from I just want both of these games to exist.
One and
two
games should exist.
Yeah, these are because that's a great idea.
I want an open world, busy world of Richard Scarry. What do people do all day? They drive cars and trucks and things that go.
That game existed. It was for the Coleco Atom computer, and I owned it.
Was it open world though?
Well, I mean,
is it seamless transitions between areas?
Actually, it was 4 screens, and back then that was pretty big.
Are we still here?
We're still here.
Okay, I was just wondering.
I'm going to go ahead and guess that a 4-screen game for the Coleco Apple computer was not open world.
It was
especially one based on a worm that wears a hat and drives an
You could wander anywhere you wanted and do whatever you wanted within the parameters of the universe.
Part of the reason I picked this question, I find it really odd that we don't see more games set in San Francisco, and I don't think have we ever seen a game set in Vancouver? Those are two places where tons and tons of games are made, and they're both an incredibly small area.
There's actually a lot of games that are set in San Francisco, but they're never. It's never like San Francisco.
Right, but like
it's always just like
it was Driver San Francisco.
Driver San Francisco was hilarious.
Like the Golden Gate Bridge makes its way into everything. Like it gets blown up 4 times a day.
Yeah, it was Advanced Warfare.
Defiance was set in San Francisco.
Yeah,
but a game set in San Francisco would be the most expensive video game ever.
No, that's not one bit. It's
just the real estate.
Nope,
it's just the real estate.
7 miles.
Yeah,
terrible. Awful. I don't know.
I'm not funny.
We've got like San Francisco for those unfamiliar.
That was very funny.
Is 7 miles by 7 miles, which is roughly the same size as a lot of open world games. That's around the same size as GTA 5, which is obviously a huge, massive undertaking.
You also have this crazy hodgepodge of urban parks, of topography, of geography, of
sick jumps,
rush, amazing ethnic neighborhoods.
Do cool boat stuff?
No, don't do that cool boat stuff. You're not that Larry Ellison's.
You can do cool. There's a
desperately
whole bay.
want Sleeping Dogs 2 to be in San Francisco.
Maybe,
I don't know if that'll happen, but it would make so much sense.
Yeah.
Has poop rendering technology reached the place that could accurately depict a San Francisco sidewalk?
Kojima has made some huge breakthroughs
in poop rendering.
They've rendered very realistic horse poop in real time.
There's that.
60 frames a second.
So I think we're ready for San Francisco though, because
you guys mentioning all the cartoon stuff. I want an open world Adventure Time game. That's not bad like all the other Adventure Time games.
That would be so good.
Yeah, I want to go around the Land of Ooo.
Yeah.
So much of that.
I just think it's odd. I've also talked to game designers about this too, and I'm like, why not do it here? Why not do it there? Or whatever. And the answer usually is that they want to design something. They don't want to just imitate it.
Yeah.
And I mean, even GTA takes a lot of liberties. Sleeping Dogs, I think I've never been to Hong Kong, but I think it was fairly. They tried to be sort of accurate to the basic layout. But like Driver San Francisco, like you can't drive it. You can barely get up to 50 miles an hour in San Francisco. Totally. It just doesn't work.
Well, that's the thing a lot of people forget is that real world cities were not are not designed the same way video game cities are
not made to
designed.
be fun.
Like, to navigate a real world city is not usually enjoyable. It's usually just like, oh, I gotta make a left. I can't go straight here. Why can't?
I mean, also like doors in video games are generally twice as wide as a real door would be.
Yeah.
Just based on that.
Maybe you could do something like what Big Hero 6 did with like San Fransokyo.
I was just about to say that.
That's
I was
awesome.
just about to say I would love a melding of two cities.
That's
so you
really
can still do
smart.
something creative, but yes, exactly what Big Hero 6 did.
Yep.
Jared, you're a smart one.
What about
But not funny.
What if the future is making your own open world games?
I actually-
we already have map creation. I feel like that's not in this post Minecraft world. I feel like that's not the most far fetched.
I had an idea a few years ago for an open world video game that worked with a culmination of like 3D rendering and Google Maps. So basically, you can be like,
yeah.
I want to go to this town, and then it would render it as a 3D video game, and you would be able to actually design the waypoints around, making that a fun place to travel through.
so cool.
Yeah, that's super
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
No, as these editors get more powerful, the tools that come with the games that we have now, I think that does become a reality. And then you also have something like No Man's Sky, where you've got like a procedurally generated universe out there waiting for you too. That's made in interesting ways.
Yeah, I don't know. Despite, I can't imagine that we're close to having sort of user-created content on that level yet. Like, I know Minecraft is huge, but aside from that, like, all the other sort of creation games, I feel like have had more promise than Deliverance.
Well, look at like SimCity.
Yeah.
Like that's the detail in there. You know, like they had crowds, they had people, they had like functioning things.
Yeah.
And the game kind of holds your hand to a certain degree of like being like you're not going to have to lay down, individual railroad spikes. You're like the minutia is kind of handled for you.
Yeah.
And you can also kind of be like sort of automate some of it.
Yeah, but I mean, there still hasn't been a user-created Little Big Planet level that's as good as a Mario level. Yeah, like there's
some pretty impressive ones technically. I agree that the fun factor hasn't always landed. Although there's some pretty neat stuff. But I do think that maybe with the right tools, you brought up Sin City. That's a great point. When Wright was working on Raid for Bungling Bay, he's making a kind of an arcadey action game. He discovered that the levels were more fun to make with his level designer he built as a development tool.
Oh yeah.
Than the game than Bungling Bay was to play. And he's like, I need to make a game out of this. Then he made Sin City.
Yeah.
Maybe out there's an engine somebody could create
That's
designed
actually fun. The art of creation is fun.
for this purpose. And then maybe we get that game, especially if there's tools to seamlessly weld places together and create the kind of mission structures we want. That could happen.
My problem is that the horse has to lead the cart a little bit, like with a lot of these things. Like we've seen things
Speaking of Italy.
Yeah, speaking of Italy. Horses are taking over the streets. They're getting rid of their Ferraris and they're just getting horse cars from here on out. That was speaking of Italy. Brought to you by pasta, meatballs, and a nice wedding soup. But I look at games like Project Spark, and I just switch, transform into a normal human being again. And I feel like those games aren't inherent. They don't really show you a really fun game and then show you here's cool stuff you can make with it. They kind of leave a lot of that up to the audience. Yeah. And like Little Big Planet, I think it's like a beautiful game, and it's actually very fun once you actually dive into it a little bit. But I don't think that any of those games are flat out as fun as like a Mario game right out of the box. But if it was, and then from there they said, here's what we did. Yeah. Now you do this, and it just worked from start to finish. I think that like that would have the potential to really.
Well, that's what I'm imagining as a game where you build a world. Building the world is the game, and it's fun, like SimCity. Yeah. And when you're done, you've got something somebody can play, and that's also fun. There's got to be a way to pull that off.
For some reason, I'm thinking of something asynchronous now, to where you're building something and I'm existing in the city at the same time. And so it's like Dark City or Inception.
Oh man,
where like it's like a third-person open-world game, but everything is changing, and like an invisible hand of God is moving.
Well, that would be like that Looney Tunes cartoon.
Send your check to.
On that note, what about a asynchronous survival horror game where you play as a sim, but you've got a 13-year-old boy playing as the Overlord? You go in the swimming pool and the ladder disappears. And you're like, I'm gonna drown! Somebody launched a bunch of fireworks in the living room. There are rugs everywhere.
My house is full of dogs.
My door disappeared. How do I leave?
I have to live in the poop room forever.
Somebody destroyed my toilet while I was using it. But there might actually be a way to make that work. There used to be this old mod for Quake called Predator. It was a homemade mod, and one person was the Predator, everybody else was a Space Marine. The Predator was far more powerful than the other characters. He was semi-transparent, awesome arsenal of weapons. The only way to score points was to score a kill as the Predator, killing a Marine. The only way to become the Predator was to kill the Predator. So everybody's working together constantly to kill the Predator. The moment they kill him, They become the predator, and now it's everybody against them. And they just kept switching off that with that asynchronous thing. There might be a way to make that 13-year-old boy horror fantasy thing work out like that, where you were trying to find a way to kill the evil god of your universe and then become him. I'd play that.
I mean, that's kind of what they're going for with stuff like, I don't know, Fable Legends.
Yeah, but it doesn't involve me drowning in a swimming
pool. That canceled Shadow Realms thing that BioWare was doing, which, they really just need to drive home the fact that this is you're a awful little teenage boy.
Yeah, I agree. This is horrible, sadistic end of it.
I just really want The Sims. I just like the idea of that actually being a realistic horror situation.
Sounds wonderful.
Just
all the women in this town are bats.
We're in bat country.